Greetings, Only Dans. It's Monday, March 6th. I just finished recording with Bramira1, who wrote an article about collectability versus gamification on NBA Top Shot. He had some pretty interesting ideas around adjusting the way challenges currently work, adjusting on how new moments come out for players, and some other ideas as well. And it was cool to hear from him. This was his first time on a stream, and it took place on Playback. If you haven't yet signed up for Playback, it's absolutely free. And all you got to do is go to playback.tv/tandytime, and that will get you into the chat. We have a lot of fun there. We have a little more flexibility, a little more freedom than we do on YouTube. They're two very different platforms. I still really enjoy doing my show every week on YouTube. However, Playback is much more relaxed, much more hanging out, and gets a little more silly. So if you're into that, go to playback.tv/tandytime. And we are also continually being sponsored by BetUS. Go to bit.ly/tandy50 to get $50 free in wagering. But make sure you gamble responsibly, that you're over 18, that you don't do it where it's not prohibited, void where prohibited. And I think it's for USA people only. And without further ado, let's jump right into it, and I'll see you on the next one on Playback. So yeah, we were looking at this tweet. That released the other day. I don't know if you saw it, but I think it's worth looking at before we introduce my guest. Bramira, if you're in the back, and I think you are, request stage, okay? So that I can get you on here and it can be seamless. But this tweet was released yesterday by the fake Top Shot economist. And I think it's really important to just take a look at this thread. I thought it was really good. So here we go. NBA Top Shot has an important decision to make in the next 6 weeks that will make or break the platform going into the great unlock. This is their one chance to prove that they have learned some lessons from the past 2 years and actually care about scarcity. We know basically every player who played in the last 2 years is extremely overminted across all levels of moments. The only players with any chance at scarcity for now are the S4 rookies. And the headliner of this class is PP Does It, Paolo Banchero, who is currently the MGLE Reward Challenge. Let's take a look at the price of the moments needed for the challenge. These were just released Friday and are skyrocketing so far. This challenge alone made the MGLE drop plus EV. Tons of winner packs if you hit one of these 9 needed moments. So we haven't seen a chart like that in a very long time. This is exactly what the user base wants. Packs were available, but not too easy to get. You had a great chance at making a profit if your pack didn't have moments you wanted to keep, all because there's a coveted, scarce reward for holding these moments. Banchero's only rare. Now here is the Top Shot decision. When they outlined what moments rookies would receive, they made it perfectly clear that rewards don't count towards the maximum per player. They left themselves an out to mint a Paolo throwdown or for the win this season. However, this has changed, and that's what we're talking about in a second. Why would they mint another Paolo Banchero rare? They know it will be popular and will drive pack sales, but they also know it kills the scarcity of Paolo rookie moments and will be harmful to the hundreds of collectors completing this MGLE challenge. That's why this is the most important decision for Top Shot this season. Do they want to make some quick money selling a bunch more $10 hot packs by advertising a chance at a new rare moment, or do they want to acknowledge collectors who want scarcity? What say you, Roham? And ironically enough, the official NBA Top Shot account. Props to Pack Reviewing. We're happy to answer this question for our community. So there you go. I love this. This was a great critical piece, well thought out. Kudos to fake Top Shot economist, whoever you are out there. And kudos back to the NBA Top Shot comms team, namely Pack Reviewing, I would imagine, for leading this charge and getting this out immediately, basically. So let's go take a quick look at that, and then hopefully Bramira is in the back, and we're going to bring him on. So let's bring on that next article right here and look at that real quick. Now, since I'm looking at a little screen, let's just see if I'm missing anything here. Okay. All right. So Bramira is in the back. Bramira, I'm going to bring you on. I'm just going to look over this blog. If you want to shout out anything while we're reading it, you can. But I'm going to look at this, and then we're going to talk about your article. So Bramira is going to come on stage now, and I'm going to start looking at this article with you guys. So this is it. They updated this, their comms around rookie rares. So here we go. It's talking about Paolo Banchero, giving themselves a little pat on the back that you were able to hang out with them in the summer league, or sorry, before the NBA draft. They talk about the MGLE challenge. They talk about how this is Bonchero's first rare moment, and it's available as a challenge reward. And it's a healthy discussion has occurred across our community about what future Bonchero collectibles may be coming as the rest of the season unfolds. So there we go. And now they're going to clarify it. And here it is in big, bold letters. Paolo Bonchero will not have any other rare moments sold in packs or as challenge rewards in Series 4. So the other rookies also are limited to one rare moment max, which is also a big relief. And then they, again, go over what his planned supply is going to be. There will not be any Paolo Bonchero fandom. That's nice to know. We know that he has his rookie debut. And we know that he has his MGLE. And the only other moments that might come about is if he makes the rookie first team, which obviously he's going to. There's going to be an out of 150 legendary moment. And there's also going to be this out of 75 legendary moment. Rookie of the Year, which he also might win, is an out of 50 legendary moment. And that's about it. But the good news is, I would say that's not great news if you want to hold a Bonchero legendary, although I think these kind of things affect the legendary collectors less probably. The more common collectors are collecting these rares. So it's very good to see that this is going to be Bonchero's only rare moment of the season. And that's it. And if there is a common, let's say, playoff moment or something like that, I think that's also okay, because what I think is great is that we are seeing things nicely divided into tiers. So that's what I really appreciate with this communications. And I sincerely hope this is the way we are going about doing this moving forward. However, to segue, we have our guest here, Bramira1, who wrote the article today about collectibility versus gamification, because you can see that if they are limiting rookies and they're making it very clear among different tiers, like if you want to play with the big boys and collect the legendaries, there's this. If you want the rares, they're here, and the super commons are there, and we're not going to water it down. There's going to be a small handful of options, and that's it. And I think that that's a great way moving forward. Like we still can't quite correct the mistakes that were made in S2 and S3. Hopefully we can eventually, but that's where we're at. So that's why I'm really excited to have my guest here, Jolly Joker himself, Bramira1. So Bramira, should I call you Bramira1, or is there another name you like to go by?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
You got me? No, Bramira's good.
All right, Bramira.
That works for me.
So I'm actually gonna pull up your article here in the back, but I guess while I'm pulling it up, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, as much as you feel comfortable sharing, like where generally you're located, and how long you've been enjoying or just being a collector on NBA Top Shot.
Sure. Do you have video for me?
You mean for your video?
Yeah. Am I on?
You should be able to turn your video on, although I'm not currently seeing it.
That's weird.
You see at the bottom, you got like the different options for camera and video.
Yep.
So if it's not working, either try if you have a second option for camera. If you don't, then I would say maybe refresh the stream and try again.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop and come back in just so I'm on, but I'll be right back on stage.
Yep, no problem. All right, so I see in the chat we got Dan Slowinski. What's going on, Dan? We got Green Curry. What's going on, Green Curry? That was fast. He's already pending again. So I'm gonna go and bring up his article in the back here. Let's take a look. Here it is. Okay.
I'm back on, right? But I don't.
Let's see. Yeah, I think it might be showing you as like loading, but it's not. Obviously, there's some kind of issue with the camera connecting.
Yeah, tech is not going today.
Yeah, and this is a relatively new platform, so there might be some technical glitches happening at the moment.
It's okay.
You could also check at the top of your browser to make sure that it's allowing camera, microphone, whatever, like permissions, if you know how to do that.
Let's see. Yeah, I have the alert that it's using camera. I don't see any, but that's okay. I can still go over it.
All right.
audio. I'm not sure what.
Since I have access to my stream, I feel like it's only right to play this drop, even though it's going to take like 3 minutes to come up. Ready? Here it comes. Here it comes, everybody. I can't hear anything. Hold on, here we go. There we go. I can hear it.
There you go.
All right. That's always fun. Okay, so Bramira, let's just get right into it. What made you want to write this article? How long were you thinking about this subject of Top Shot's gamification versus collectability?
Oh man, probably forever. First off, just thank you for having me on. I've been listening to your podcast and watching your streams for a while. I don't usually go on here or any of the other streams, so this is my first time, and I just want to say thank you. But I've just been thinking about it for a long time as just a very opinionated person. So I don't know. I just started writing on that blog, I think last summer. I can't even really remember. Yeah. But this one was really something that was just kind of itching at me for a while. And I think much like most of us, it's frustration. It's frustration at seeing like stuff that seems to make no sense continue.
Right.
I mean, you guys have discussed it on your show before, like so much in season seems to be tied to this game of challenges that we play, and the game seems to make sense. Like it just seems to reward holding random, unrelated moments and giving those to users who haven't really shown an attachment to the player or team that it's for. So, early on, I kind of just railed against utility and gaming in general. Because I think, when I came on, in early 2021, there really was none of that. Like most of us here. And so, I blamed a lot of the issues that I saw on that. But I got to thinking about, honestly, that the drivers for Dapper, I just think are different than the ones for us. I think that there's an element of revenue that they gain from telling people, today you need to buy this moment and tomorrow you need something different and you don't need that yesterday's moment. So sell it as quickly as you can. So I think that there's, those are moments that people probably never would have needed to pick up, and now all of a sudden they do. There's the 5% take on that. Any kind of system or resolution to the conflict between that and collecting what is truly special to all of us. Just the conflicts in that system. Anything had to account for that. It has to account for the goals of people to be like, hey, I didn't come in 2020. I don't have a bunch of cosmics or hollows. I still want to be able to use my collection for stuff. Versus people who are like, hey, I put a whole bunch of money in and I don't want to see that turned into, hey, win some free stuff today if you collect something different. It's just, they seem to be at odds, and I don't know. So I just spent some time trying to workshop what solution would work. And the funny thing is, I think a couple days ago, I published another one about why the systems don't work together. That got a lot of traction too, but I knew that I had like a framework in my head for something that might. But it's tough. I feel like a lot of this logical stuff about how, why do things work like this? It doesn't make sense. It feels like people are banging their heads against the wall and it's not getting. So I just really hope that this is listened to. That's it. So that was my driving force.
Got it. So I got your motivation, and also thank you for being a listener. I appreciate that, and thank you for making this your first time on a stream. I love being able to bring people onto the stream for the first time. It's great.
Yeah, audio only, but still.
Next time you'll get your video on. So Chubby Hooper, where can we find this article? I'm going to paste that into the chat for you right now. Let me get that in there for you.
You can find it on my Twitter too. I think I pinned it. It's at TS Bramira, Bramira1. So TS Bramira1. It should be the pin one on that.
So I'll be honest, I didn't actually make it through the whole article yet.
Oh, it's huge.
Was just so excited. I was so excited to just get you on first and be like, look, just give it to us. Give us like the intro.
I can give you a rundown.
Points. Yeah, I think that's what we'd love to have.
It's a slog to read. Like, it took me forever to write and like workshop it. I can't imagine it's not light reading. So for sure.
Yeah. How would you explain this to a 5-year-old?
Yeah, well, I have one of those. So if you hear her,
all right, me too. So let's talk about
it. Yeah. I don't think that's what people came here for, my 5-year-old stories, but for sure. Like, I would put the elevator pitch this way. The only way that it seems to me that this all works to be a collectible and a game that engages people and gives them some utility is and there's 4 models to these systems, and they all have to work together. And what those models are is those moments that people were getting as flash challenge rewards that are player specific. They got to come from player leaderboards. It's just a logical place of people who, put their money where their mouth is and locked up their moments. If they're a big Emmanuel Quickly fan, he had a really big game. Why doesn't he get his leaderboard get anything? Like, it seems odd to me. Like, I remember, Arsenic with his Cody Zeller. He's likely not getting a leaderboard. Why have those? Like, that makes no sense to me. The other thing is, those need to be not blind snapshots. They keep doing these, and there are so many benefits to, like, in my article, I posted a snapshot of the original blog of what they said these player leaderboards would look like. And there were timers that said, the timer's going to run out in 1 day and 2 hours. That's communicated ahead of time. That drives the marketplace activity for maybe people want to pass. They don't want to lock a bunch of moments. But if you have moments of that player, that serves the benefit of that.
Right, because you're going to get more of him.
Yeah, it spurs marketplace activity for Dapper, for holders. The other thing is, this came up a bunch, was like during the LeBron leaderboard challenge, MBL brought this up. Why are they, after the fact, deciding who gets which cereal? It seems to me that the logical thing to do would be, like, I've just heard so many complaints over 2 years on Top Shot from people who think it's only for whales, or people who have invested money and think they get no utility out of it. That the logical thing to do is to go, okay, I'm over at Dapper. I can figure out this is the number of users who it's a high enough mint count, like a low mint count comp. I went with 2,000. Let's say it's 1,500 like the clamps. But whatever it is, it's attainable. If you actually like that player and want to lock moments, it's an attainable low mint comment. But the cereals are by position. So if you lock up the 1, you get the number 1 cereal. And then you do those on a revolving cadence throughout the year. I could kind of go either way on the design here, but you could do it to where every day there's a new player and their leaderboard runs out in a week, or at the beginning of the week you say, hey, here's 7 players. Those at the end of the week, their leaderboard runs out.
So it's kind of you're describing a new version of like a flash challenge.
Yeah, so the flash challenges move over there. So then, and it's similar for the team leaderboards. Like the team leaderboards, we have the team set bonuses. those make no sense to me either. Like there's so many warpings of the market that they do. Like for example, like I'm a Bucks collector. So I'm in the Bucks team Discord and that group. But am I a bigger fan of the Bucks than somebody who locked like a ton of Giannis moments, like legendaries? Then or the fact that I have like a George Hill S1 locked, and a bunch of players that they may not even be there anymore, but I just followed the checklist.
Right.
So that bonus is odd to me, and to me, the other challenges that we have done each year is the playoff challenges. A playoff series team reel for the team leaderboard seems like a logical place for those. And again, has a timer, not a blind snapshot. Spurs marketplace growth. Low mint count common all the way up to serial by position.
So it sounds like you like the idea of rewards being mainly on platform rewards. Have you thought at all about?
No.
Okay.
Not entirely. Okay, so you're talking about like the IRL stuff?
Well, IRL, but also just being rewarded. Look, if people like the clamps and the next version of the clamps and the playoff version of that thing, and that's all well and good, but I'm more curious about how we can connect people on this platform to the NBA in ways off the platform as well. So like I know they've done already NBA credit, NBA store credit, league pass credit. I like that idea of sort of trying to connect them off the platform as well, and potentially bringing people off the platform back into Top Shot and stuff and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I'm not opposed to it, but to be honest with you, I'm gonna kind of abstain from like IRL discussion. One, because I think it kind of muddies a bit, the design of these 4 systems. But I also think that they have that capability. I have my own personal view on it. Like I can't travel a lot. It's kind of difficult to me. So, but the NBA team store stuff, whatever it is, I kind of want to abstain because honestly, my feelings are a lot of times I think people are just looking for like, hey, my moments aren't worth as much. Dapper, pay me some money, and like it's not a charity. Like we're all in the same boat. We all feel that, but I'm not opposed to it. I just don't personally care about that. I don't. So, that sounds weird, but
so you didn't get emotionally, I don't know, affected when like certain supply decisions were made, when certain promises or were adjusted, like the CS kind of stuff. When that
I hated that. I hated that. We all hated that. I had stacks of Jackson Hayes moments. I'm not even a Pelicans fan. Yeah, it was horrible. Yeah, I agree.
That's why people are like pulling their hair out.
I
and saying,
agree.
Like, give me Dapper.
All right. For that, I'll say like I kind of come on the side of like there's going to be a lot of people that align to this. Like, hey, you told me if I have one of every cheapest common, I'll be able to do every flash challenge, and now, different things are being rewarded. I kind of come on the side of like, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Like a bunch of people complained about that, but we can't, like for a company that just had to do a bunch of layoffs, we can't expect like a kickback on their mistakes. Even like, like I'd rather see them fix the systems and go forward with some consistency than like, it just seems like there's no master plan. And that's why people ask for this stuff. That's why people are like, hey, I've wasted all this money. Keep flipping it up on me.
Right. Well, I will
give
say
me something back. I get it.
Yeah. The MGLE stuff that we saw, the changes to the MGLE, well, now the changes how they're dealing with rookie rares is a big deal. The changes that that they've done now to give back to people with high TSS score, those 2 things alone are in my opinion kind of making fixes to the platform. If they can continue piling up these sort of small to medium-sized wins, we'll be in a great spot. But all the while, though, they have to do what they've said that they're going to do, namely like what Roham in his AMA said he was going to do, which was really keep a keen eye on supply and really consider what's going on the marketplace and simplify and all the buzzwords that were used. But unless that stuff comes to pass, because
my concern,
go ahead.
My concern with that is like why it seems like that's a lot of talk is I feel like we've heard that and it's all great, but it's a question of how. Like, how do you do that when the systems that are in place are undermining? You know, like we all have this issue of supply and people complaining about supply because that's what drove, I'll say drove the value of doing flash challenges in the past. Mm-hmm. Like last year, if you had Scotty Barnes 4K, like there was like 2 weeks there where it got used twice. That was his only moment. Mm-hmm. And it shot up. Well, then every other moment they release makes challenges with him easier and easier. So you can sell for less, each time and there's less people who need that moment. So if you get one, you know, it's not as valuable. And in time, the system of flash challenges, and again, I'm not opposed to it. That's the second part of the article I laid out, like how those could work, is like that is such an issue because of the systems in place.
Well, they have to have they have to have balances on both sides. So if they're going to have systems where they continually release new stuff, the idea that they've had up until this point was we'll do burning, and obviously that's helpful, but I think it's helpful only to a small degree, and there has to be like an equal action to the reaction, or however you want to say it. Up until now, we haven't had it, and also because S2 and S3 gave such a massive oversupply that it's like, how do you even deal with that?
It's like a drop in the bucket. Yeah,
exactly. So whatever they can do to figure out how to speed this process up and to like let us forget about S2 and S3, the better. And hopefully they're thinking about that. But are there any other points that you felt were strong points in this article that you want to share? So we understand so far your points about changing up flash challenges, making it more of something that is tied into player leaderboards. Were there any other points that you wanted to make about gamification versus collectability?
Yeah. So the points that I made earlier, those are for long-term collectors. Like I count myself as one of those, that falls on the side of that. But the other half is there are people, like I said, who, you know, there's a lot that's what they come for. They come for engagement. They come for the product to entertain them. They come to flex their basketball knowledge, and they come for utility of, you know, not having to drop, you know, over $1,000 that's what the platform is. Mm-hmm. So in my thinking, my inspiration for flash challenges is kind of the retool of All Day, like their playbook. And I think the daily cadence of Top Shot's flash challenges, it's kind of exhausting. Mm-hmm. For me personally. I agree. I'm sure some people like it, but also that constant everyday, like, hey, earn a new thing. If you collect some random stuff, that drives focus away from collectors. Mm-hmm. That if it's a weekly cadence, like Playbook, and you know, we could do it like set a lineup, like predict the high scorer for each position at the end of the week or of the games this week, for some of the points, and then for the rest, you know, set a lineup that you want that went over some threshold. And then you could incorporate teams in there too. Right now, a lot of people ask like, hey, can you specifically require team moments like dynamic duos or clamps? Instead, that could be every week, you know, and then it's every week collect or predict a team that will score over 130, or a team that will hold their opponent under 100. And then the stats on that are that it's going to be a handful. You get to pick who you want. So then you look at your collection and go, hey, I'm holding players or teams that either I like or I thought that they would have a really good season. Like, I know why I hold these, and I can hold them for longer than a week until they tank because they now have no utility.
Right.
So that's how I see flash challenges. And then I also, like all day, I see them as they have to have a regular burn component, but that burn component has to be, you burn whatever you want, whatever crap you want that you're like, nobody wants this. I don't want this. I got this in a pack, and it has no point. So then that limits the supply of that. The supply of players that people like and want, and they're having a good season, that comes from domain. And then what you get back is a pack. You do that because I'm going to burn 3 or 4 floor garbage moments nobody wants. Maybe I'll get something better in this pack. And then the other system is, people say, well, why hold rares or legendaries? But then it's pretty easy to make those count for more. So if you miss on some of the predictive, or you don't hold anybody that qualified as a center or whatever, you can use a rare for something that would count more. You can use a legendary, and that maybe if they're available, there's rare packs or boosted packs where you kind of need to use those. But it's still a system of, you are doing what you want instead of being told, and it's consistent.
Yeah, I'd like if they could borrow from So Rare, which is having different tiers of challenges. And so if you want to play in the rare game, you play the rare game.
I like that.
Yeah, you want to play the common game, you play the common game.
And that people don't come away feeling like, hey, a bunch of these challenges in a row were too much for me. So since this is what I come for every day, the flash challenges, now I'm mad at Top Shot. Right? Like, it's, you know what it's going to be. You could play at the level you want. You only want, a common base pack, then you're playing with common moments. You want to shoot for the boosted pack, rare pack, you go with those. But the demand seems a lot more natural and organic to me there. And then the last point that I see for gamers is, they got to make one of those players that they would do a leaderboard for into a weekly crafting challenge. Like the way back in the John Morant Throwdown, where they rolled out crafting challenges and everybody got so excited, but that's targeted. You need to use job moments for that. Not you need to use some random player who hit the third free throw in the second quarter. Like, that doesn't help jobs moments, and then they can direct that for, that's your, hey, I want to use my moments for utility, for gaming, but I want to play at the rare level. I want to play at the legendary level. Like, if you see collectible moments as tools, that's okay. I'm not going to judge that, but then you'll help other people that do see them as collectibles, because consistently they'll require those most collectible moments to be burned for the crafted moments. So what everybody kept asking for when this came out, like, hey, can I convert a bunch of commons that I don't want to a rare? So if they always require, I'm throwing out a number, 10 commons of that player, at least, and a rare if it's rare level, and then if it's legendary, either a TSD or a legendary. And then you're always net neutral, just like with the flash challenges. But, maybe the player had really great play and you want to do something to craft that moment. Maybe some crazy person, I wrote this in the article, maybe there's a LeBron one up and some crazy person wants to burn the TSD for it. Well, they likely have like a 1 of 1. Maybe for them that's really cool. But they have all of these systems, player leaderboards, crafting. I just don't feel like they're using them in any kind of consistent, like there's a master plan way, and this is my way that they all seem to work together.
I think that's a great point. I think we've heard points like that in the past too, where these kind of challenges should benefit the actual player. It should never be creating even more supply of that player, because it's too much of a good thing. I would argue that even like the current way the challenges are working is also kind of too much of a good thing, where it's just too many challenges, there's too many players, there's too much going on. I'd be interested though, like with the user base in general, how they feel about that. If there's people who just love going onto the platform every couple days and engaging in all these different challenges. Because I do remember that when the challenges first came out, they were incredible. I had so much fun with them. And I think that it's really changed since then. I don't really enjoy them quite as much. It's probably for a myriad of reasons. One thing I will say, when you were talking about the way that the rewards are given out, I talked about this with MBL. I think like I understand that idea of having it sort of set in stone for the 1, the 2, the 3. They get the same thing they get that reward if they're in the 1 and the 2 and the 3. I think, though, that I really like this idea that Steve brought up in the past, which is it's a percentage chance. So it's like the lottery for the NBA draft. So if you're in the first spot, you have the highest chance of getting the number 1, but it doesn't mean that number 3 has no chance of getting the number 1. I think that makes it a little more fun, a little more like of a game in a way. But that's just my opinion.
I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah. Are there any other points you want to make, or you can continue that thought? But I was curious if there's anything else from this article that you wanted to share.
I don't think so. I mean, to the last point, whether it's like a weighted system, like the NBA draft, I just kind of wanted to simplify it for a new user and then give scalability all the way up, to that 1, 2, 3 person, or all the way down to person 199. I don't know. Maybe they don't care if they're 190 versus 1999. But yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. It doesn't really break the system. I saw a bunch of points when I was designing this where it was like, they could do it this way, they could do it this way. The system still works. It just, I feel like it needs to be thoughtful design all the way through.
Right. And so what would you do now for an example of, like, for example, I got a pack the other day and I got like a John Collins rare. It was a Throwdowns rare. And I looked, and of course there's 3 rares of basically the same circulation, and they're all selling for $20. What would you do in those situations when you have players, and you may have already answered this question in another way, but how would you start to resolve the issue of these players who have multiples of many, many rares? Like Donovan Mitchell is, of course, the one that people like to bring up. What would you do what would you do to try to fix like Donovan Mitchell's rare situation right now?
I don't know. I am just a dude who wrote an article. I don't have all the answers, but
I know.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of see. I kind of feel like their hands are tied on a lot of the minting decisions in the past, but I also feel like the designs of the system, the way the systems are designed, it escalates those perceived issues. I'm kind of, if the demand for 3 different John Collins rares isn't there, then they'll go where they need to go. But, then you could do one of those weekly crafting challenges for it. You could do some, craft and burn the extras. It's just right now they seem to only be relying on these flash challenges for that, and say, oh, we're going to do a burn challenge. Hopefully John Collins comes up and then we'll be able to burn a bunch. But if not, whoops, I don't know. I feel like there's ways to target that and direct that. But, I don't know. I don't have all those answers.
But that's actually a great point. It's like, it can't be left to chance. It has to be thought out and put out intentionally.
Yeah.
Perfect Serial is saying at the start of each series, retire an older series from gamification, fix the amounts being minted, let S2 and S3 become a graveyard. I mean, I would say as long as people can somehow get something out of all the purchases they did in those S2 and S3, sure. Like give them a chance
Yeah,
to not just see it go to zero. But sure.
I get that. I get that point too. I think I read that. I think I read that tweet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not a super fan of it because it still feels like Dapper putting their finger on the scale, and then afterwards, they make a decision like this, and the people on the other side are like, "Great, now there's no utility from these moments."
Yeah.
Ah, Tini, if you don't mind, can I do have one more point that I thought of.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's another category of moment that is like horribly depressed because of the systems they have in place, and that's
Mm-hmm.
every off season they sell historical moments,
Mm.
run it backs and Magic Anthology in the archives, and then every in season they're like, oh, but there's no flash challenges for them, so there's no use for them,
Right,
and that
right.
and it makes no sense to like a collector. If I looked at cards, like there's a market for historical cards that just doesn't exist here because they undermine it. And my thinking was in that last point I made, those weekly crafting challenges, um, or player leaderboards that you could very easily do those with retired greats in the off season.
Mm-hmm.
That is another feature of the systems is that you could do it like that. And now suddenly those aren't moments that you're selling to people and having a tank.
So you're thinking of having leaderboards for players like Kevin McHale, Hakeem Olajuwon, and then you gain another moment on the platform of those players. Is that what you're thinking?
Kinda, yeah, maybe. Or maybe that they're just crafting challenges. Like I've seen All Day do that with historical players that there's only a couple moments. Like they did a bunch of them. The one that's sticking out in my head for some reason is Thurman Thomas, because I'm originally
Mm-hmm.
from upstate New York, so that's the
Mm-hmm.
one that sticks in my. They did a whole bunch of them,
Right.
but they all seem to use the more collectible moments to turn it into something that somebody wants. But yeah, that would. I think that's how I would do it.
Right. And I,
So
I
yeah, so
also think that.
maybe you do like kind of like the archive, like an archive. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe if you're going to drop an additional Hakeem, an additional Kevin McHale, you do it that way. Or if you want it to be less scarce, you make it be a crafting challenge using the existing ones.
Sure. Well, sure. I'm sure anyone would love to have some added utility. I mean, if you look though, these moments are actually doing okay. I was kind
Yeah,
of
they're not
surprised
bad.
actually.
Yeah, they're not bad. The locking helps. There was
Mm-hmm.
wasn't there a big locking challenges for these, and a bunch of them were locked up.
Right, when
That
they
definitely
have
helps.
the first
I
challenges that went
also
on.
I also think people have kind of figured out how to market cap these by
Mm.
that series. They're like, oh, these are not going to go crazy. The
Mm-hmm.
one exception I see is like the Magic TSD.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty high for something with no utility right now.
And
But
that's a
I
good
just feel
sign. I
like
mean, it's a
that's
small
good.
amount of
Yeah,
people, but
I feel like it's like I put myself in that camp, that long term collector. I don't have a ton of money to spend, but I kind of always felt like I'm that person that's holding up the long term collector side, even though the systems are fighting against me. So there are
hmm.
still people doing. It's frustrating to fight against them.
So are you more like how are you feeling in terms of a scale of like optimism and pessimism after I guess we had this AMA, after we had the changes to the that we saw to like give back to collectors for the TSS and this Paulo Bonchero news? Like, are you feeling a little bit lighter in your loafers like I am after the most recent news, or how are you feeling?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Did you drop off? I don't know. Lost audio. Okay. I can actually hear something going on. It sounds like your mic is in your pocket or something. So I can still, I hear something coming from your end. I hear like sniffing or something like that. I don't know. Or maybe you lost my audio. I mean, this is the joys of technical difficulties. If you go to the bottom left, you'll see, some speaker icon, and make sure that the stage is turned up. All right, I think you're going to come back in a second. All right, let's bring Bramira back on. Here we go.
Hey, do you have me?
Yep, I can hear you.
I'm having some headset issues.
That's par for the course. It seems to be a common theme.
Yeah. So I'm sorry about that. Where were we?
I was talking about just like how you felt recently. Do you feel that things are moving in the right direction right now? Are you feeling a little more optimistic? Because you've been on this platform, I imagine, for about the same time as I have, early 2021, February 2021, and you've seen what went down in S2 and S3 and the beginning of S4, and the huge amounts of packs being sold, and this is what made you write this article. But these most recent changes, the fact that they listened to the fake Top Shot economist, or at least a little bit, that may have influenced a little bit their decision making. And this way to give back to collectors in terms of rewarding your high Top Shot score, I think that those two things are showing us that they're thinking about this stuff in the right way, and it's not just lip service. Because a lot of it in the past couple of years has been lip service, which it's easy also to think that the stuff that Roham most recently said was a whole lot of lip service because it just sounded like buzzwords. But I'm wondering then how you're feeling. Largely, I know it's probably jumping the gun, but just based on a couple of good news as of late with like the MGLE and the Paolo Banchero stuff. Like, does that indicate to you? Are you a little more optimistic because of that? Did I lose you a lot again? I think I did. All right, hold on. Oh boy, gonna have to edit this one. And chat, if you want, you can ask some questions in there, and we'll make sure he answers them. All right, Bramira, do you read? Do you read, Bramira? Are you there?
I read over and out. Yeah, do you have me?
Okay, 10-4, little doggy. All right, so did you hear my question about like if you're feeling at all optimistic or not?
To be honest with you, I am but I don't know why. I love the platform. I love Top Shot. I love collecting. I love the moments. Like, I got an offer out on one today. I'm still buying. I'm still collecting. But I don't know. I don't really know. I hope so. I'm here too. I hear the same stuff, and it just, yeah, it's tough now.
But so that you don't know why you feel a little bit better. So the news about them basically acknowledging that they're going to limit the rookie rares, that didn't make you feel a little bit better?
Move me.
Really?
To be honest with you, no. I think it should for some people. It's just not really my collecting strategy.
But not just your strategy though. I just
mean, but the move in general. Yeah. I think it's wise. I definitely think it's wise. The things like this just seem to happen randomly. Like, they'll do something like this and people support it, and then they'll do something that seems to make sense to me. You know, I don't know, but in general, I'm patient, and I, yeah, that's all I'll say.
Okay, you're a hopeful
Yeah,
optimist. It sounds like.
yeah, I think that's fair.
All right, that's fair. Okay. So we got Joe who's saying thank you for your insights. Chat, do you have any other questions for Bramira while we have him? Is there anything else you want to add in, Bramira?
No, I'm good. Just I love what you do. So thank you for having me on.
Of course.
Thank you, everybody, and I'll cross my fingers.
Well, that sounds great. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we just haven't lined up a bunch of little wins in a while. That's why, like, we're almost at tic-tac-toe. We have the MGLE news. We have the Paolo Banchero news. Like, give me one more. Let us get 3 in a row before something goes wrong. So Dan is asking, what are you buying at the moment?
Well, I have an offer out for the LeBron video game numbers. I really like that one. I just bought the Zion S4 MGLE that dropped.
Okay.
I hit on that pack drop.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really want my moment. Sold it.
Mm-hmm.
And picked up the Zion. It's up pretty good since I did.
Right.
What else? I don't know. A couple things on all day.
Okay, so you're an auto collector as well.
Yeah, but I'm not going to make any. This is not a financial advice.
Right, this is not financial advice. Of course not.
Yeah, I have to, right?
Yeah. That's cool. Well, I don't really have much else. I mean, I'm definitely going to go read your article a little more carefully, and I think it's a good sign though that when people put together some Twitter threads that do get some traction, that at least it appears that they're starting to listen, or maybe starting to listen a little bit more. Maybe there's a little bit less of the higher ups believing that they're the smartest people in the room, and that they know what's best for everyone. And maybe there's a movement now of kind of respecting scarcity and not just talking about respecting scarcity. And that's what has me most hopeful at the moment.
Mm-hmm. I agree. They seem to, I don't know if willingly, but they seem to have acknowledged their shortcomings and want to correct them. So I hopeful optimist.
Yeah. All right. Well, Bramira, I appreciate you making the time. I appreciate you being able to jump on with short notice, and thank you. Yeah, thank you for being here and for answering some questions with us and telling us about your article that you read. And I hope it continues to spread around the internet, and spread around Twitter.
I hope so. And yeah, feel free to hit me on Twitter if anybody has any questions or anything. But thank you, and yeah, good luck, everybody.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Bramira. So that's Bramira. If you haven't read his article yet, then I will paste it again into the chat. Here we go. Into the chat. It's right here. And that's your homework. That's your required reading for the day. I'm going to go read it as well. But it's good to see people put together some well thought out ideas around how they would improve things, and not just sort of willy-nilly Twitter threads, but like a nicely written out blog. And you know what? It's been a while since I've seen every single person on Twitter make Twitter threads about how they would fix NBA Top Shot. So that's probably why I was a little more welcoming to read one of these articles, because a little while back there, I remember like every single person on Twitter was making articles about how they would fix Top Shot. So it's good that it's a little new. It's not the same old. I guess that's all I got, guys. I mean, we'll play a little tunes before we call it a day. But I wanted just to talk about this today because I think, like I wrote in the thumbnail and such, like, is Top Shot back? Because I think that if we see a few more decisions like the one that we're seeing now, I think it's just a huge putting your money where your mouth is, and it's not just talking anymore. It's just really proving to us that they're listening. And I was actually even nervous reading that article about limiting rookie rares and how they were still giving themselves an out, about like, oh yeah, but just in case, what if they score a bunch of video game numbers or something, or what if they score a game-winning shot, and what if we have to, then we wouldn't be able to tell the story of the season otherwise. And so it's good that they made it loud and clear, and that's something that honestly I don't think I've seen them do in so long. So to see something like that is why I felt like, okay, something's definitely different here. They're actually listening. So that's how I feel about that. Anyway, guys, Poker Pro Eric's asking me, is that all I got? But let's play this song. I like this one. And then we'll call it a day. Here we go. I'm going to paste that in there. A little more Electric Light Orchestra, since that seems to be the theme of the day. Let's see. Can I hear anything? Delicious. There we go. All right, fellas. I think that's all I got. Unless you want to hang out a little more, but I should probably go help the wife and the child. You know how that is. Thanks, Top Shot, Hot Shot. I'm gonna put this episode on the YouTube. I'll clip it up. I'll put it on the podcast. Thanks, Dan. I'm glad that you guys can enjoy the tunes. By the way, we can't play the tunes on YouTube. They'll demonetize you. I won't get my 20 cents. I won't get my 20 cents if I do that on YouTube. Even when I play my Hello Darkness, I love my Hello Darkness. I can't even play that. Even when I speed it up, they take my 20 cents away. Those jerks. But here, we can play whatever we want and vibe out. Have a nice time together. So I guess that's it for me. I'll call it a night for me. For you guys, probably afternoon. There we go, Dan. That's what I like to hear. Dan's here for the vibes. And go enjoy the rest of your day. Go watch some NBA basketball while I'm sleeping. I'll be burping my daughter, and maybe I'll tune in at like 5 a.m. Let's see. Who else likes the vibes? King Crimson does too. Good. We're definitely going to do a King Crimson night for sure. No question about it. All right. I guess that's it. I'll stop talking. I'll let you guys get back to it, and we'll see. If I have time tomorrow, we'll stream again tomorrow, and we'll talk again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.